I look very pale today. What's up, guys? I have a little wave here. No one cares. Okay, welcome to this little corner of the internet where we talk about books with kindness. I'm so excited for this wrap up because I have so many good books to talk about. And I already talked a bit about them on Instagram. If you're not already following, you can completely do if you want, because we are having fun on this side of internet too. So let's not wait and let's jump into it. Maybe you already saw me reading this book, but this is volume 1 of Game of Thrones, sorry, by George R.R. Martin, and I'll put the video in this corner. I think it is, if you haven't seen if you want to see it. I've read this book on a reading vlog and I loved it. I loved it so much. I give it 5 stars because it was a long time that I haven't felt such emotions reading a book. I laughed. I laughed. I laughed. I laughed. I felt dread. I felt sadness. I saw the adaptation on screen. I don't know if I can say it like that. And I know what's coming. And even though I couldn't stop reading. I thought that I would read another book in parallel to make some breaks in it, but I couldn't do some breaks. I couldn't do anything but read straight ahead and straight away. This book, it consumed me. It is so well written. The characters are so well written. We have different narration from their different points of view, and the characters are well written. They are flawed. They have flaws and they are not perfect. No, they are far from they are far from perfect. But the political plot, also the political issues. I didn't even make a summary for this book. The main crown, if I can say it like that, is in the south, but his most loyal and faithful second hand, was murdered, and he asks one of his best friends he knows from his child to be the new hands of him. And he's reluctant to go to the south because he's from north, and in north things are very different, and he has his whole family, but he's taking 2 of his daughters to the south, and you see how the different characters are evolving. The mother takes care of the child in north, but something is happening, so she has to leave them, and the eldest is taking care of the kingdom, and so many things is happening, and there is a bit of fantasy in it. This is very dark, very, very, very dark, and very grim. There is so much violence. You have to be prepared. If you're a bit sensitive, I wouldn't recommend it. If you don't like to be confronted to world at its worst, don't read it. I was flabbergasted by the way he's writing. It is obviously a world where women suffers from the actions of men. For example, Daenerys is living the hell, and she's acclimating to it because she has no choice. But the way she's evolving, and the way this book foreshadows great evolutions for women. And obviously, I love Arya in this book. Arya is everything. Sansa is insufferable. I can't stand her, and I'm a bit ashamed to say this because he's a bit misogynist in this book, but I love Tyrion. Tyrion makes me laugh so hard, makes me laugh so hard, and he says the truth. Yes, he's he's true. I love him. I have a quote from him that I loved that I wanted to share with you. It's never forget what you are, for surely the world will not. Make it your strength. Then it can never be your weakness. Armor yourself in it, and it will never be used to hurt you. And it's always like that. He's helping the broken people, and I love broken people. Uh, yes, I'm that kind of girl, and I love to be confronted to dark feelings in a book. I love to be confronted to a world in its worst and not to a world I would like it to be sometimes, not all the times. And that's why I really love this book. And obviously, the fantasy touch in it and the evolution of the characters, and it is well written. I know it's not for all people, but if you like dark, grim fantasy, high fantasy, epic fantasy, because there is so much different narration in this, it is for you. And if you're French, I bought the French edition because I didn't feel like reading this book in English because of the, the difficulty. I think it's very difficult to read in English. And the French version has map in it, and I think it's quite useful. Next, I've read Tales from the Coffee by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Yes, I needed a hug. I needed to read a warm book after reading the Game of Thrones Volume 1 and being heartbroken. But this book broken me a bit too, even though it felt very heartwarming because the stories are moving. And as I said in the reading blog, it felt so good to be reunited with some of the characters from volume 1, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And the second one, I didn't feel it was repetitive. It was a bit, because they're repeating the rules. I didn't even talk about what this book is about. It is about a Japanese coffee in which you can return to the past to see loved ones who has already gone to this coffee in the past. Or you can go to the future too, but it is a bit trickier. Some of the characters of the volume 1 are still in it, and you see them evolving and the stories are moving. I really loved it. I rated it 5 stars also. And I have a quote from one of the stories. It resonated with me a lot. It wasn't that he was dissatisfied with his ordinary life, or was just that from somewhere in his heart he heard, I want to find work that is worth spending a lifetime on. I am at a stage in my life where I have to choose what I'm gonna do with it, what I'm gonna do every day, something that is worth waking up in the morning, something that is motivating me with patience. So it resonated with me a lot. Next, I really wanted to get into the Dark Academia vibes because March is a perfect month, such as November, I think, to do it, because December is a lot festive. January, you're recovering from all the Christmas vibes and so on. February, you're feeling a bit like romance, I don't know. But March, I don't know, I felt like it. So I really wanted to read a classic, which is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Are you saying it well? Yes. And it was a 5 stars also. This was a good reading month. Is a story about a guy who is on a scholarship, I think I can say it like that, and is attending to an elite university with other students, and he chooses to learn Greek, even though it is a course which has only 6 students, I think, five students, 6 with him, with a professor choosing very carefully his students, and he manages to attend to this course, and he learns to know his classmates. And oof, I had mixed feeling at the beginning for this book because the introduction is so well written, the author is making you know what's gonna happen on this book, and even though you know what is gonna happen, there is so much tension, and I loved it. I loved it so much, but the relationship between the characters I felt was not so well developed. I don't know. For me, there was something missing when the plot is happening, when the plot is hitting you, and you see how the characters are evolving from these main events happening. It is, ugh. When I finished it, I thought about it, and I still think about it, and how they are deeply complex, how they are deeply consumed or not by what they did. Oof. Yes, it is a mix of character and plot driven, because obviously in Dark Academia there is always a main thing happening, but it is obviously and mostly around how the characters are reacting to it, and it is, oof. I felt that at the beginning it was very slow, but within those 500 pages, everything is happening within a year. So it is, I think, a mix of slow and fast paced. So if you love kind of slow paced books focusing on how characters are reacting to a main event happening in their life. I don't know if it is clear, but I really loved it. Still have existential questions about myself. How would I have reacted if I was in their shoes? And I cannot answer these questions, and it frightens me. It frightens me a lot. So I went into a bit of an existential crisis, and I loved it. I loved how this book made me feel, and that's all I'm looking for a book when I'm reading one. So it was a win for me. I have two quotes from this book. One to emphasize the beautiful writing of the author, which is, "There's such a thing as the fatal flaw that show a dark crack running down the middle of a life exists outside literature. I used to think it didn't. Now I think it does, and I think that mine is this, a morbid longing for the picturesque at all costs." Yes, and another to emphasize and to resume a bit the mood of the book is, "It's a very Greek idea and a very profound one. Beauty is terror. Whatever we call beautiful, we quiver before it. And what could be more terrifying and beautiful to souls like the Greeks or our own than to lose control completely? To throw off the chains of being for an instant, to shatter the accident of our mortal selves." Next, I've made my bookish friends on Instagram to choose with me on my next read. It was this one or this one, and they helped me to choose Dead Poet Society. So I continued into the Dark Academia vibes, and I've seen the movie, and I learned that the Dead Poet Society by N.H. Kleinbaum, I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name, came out after the movie, so I was surprised. This happens very rarely when books are out after the film and not the other way around. So I knew what was happening in this book, and it is only 180 pages long, I think. Yes, and oof, and well, oh well, it made me feel so much emotions within those 180 pages. I don't know how it is possible. I know it is, obviously it is, but I haven't found that kind of book yet, and I know there is on this world, and I can't wait to read them. I can't wait to find them, because I wept. I wept so much. I cried, even though I knew what was happening, even though I knew what was coming. Yes, it is for me a 5 stars also, because it is a book you need to read before your 20s or during your 20s, because it is such a life learning lesson about how you need to live every day as it is the last one. And this book is about a small group of boys in a school, preschool, high school. No, it is not high school, it is before high school, in an elite before high school, and they have a new teacher, a new literature teacher, and he's learning them to think by themselves. And it is such a gem. I love when teachers are passionate and keen to learn to their students how to think by themselves. I loved it. I have one quote which means the world to me, and I'll read it to you. Okay, I lied. I have two. I have to emphasize the teaching of learning by yourself, which is when you read, don't just consider what the author thinks. Consider what you think. And another to emphasize the beauty of languages, the beauty of humanity simply is we don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion and medicine, law, business, engineering. These are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. Oh, it's telling if it didn't convince you to read it. If you're in a reading slump and loving these themes, 108 pages to go back to reading. Just saying. Next, I've read The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, and it was 5 stars also. It is the sequel to The Thursday Murder Club, and I think this book is even better written in. He says it himself at the end of the book. The plot was less confusing, or maybe I grew a bit more at ease at reading English thrillers, I don't know, but the humor and everything felt so good in this book. This is set in a peaceful retirement village with 4 elderly people loving to solve mysteries, and I loved this book because we learn a bit more about the characters, especially about one and her past, and this makes sense. This makes so much sense. And the humor of them is priceless. And within the 30 pages, I think I almost cried because something is happening. I won't say too much about it, even though I want to say it, and my heart, it just felt pressed, and I was like, no, you can't do that. I hated Richard Osman within the first 30 pages, and it is just getting better and better. And for me, at least, it is 300 pages, 400 pages. Maybe some people would think it is a bit long, but I thought it was perfect. And the end also, from the beginning to the end, it is precious. It is a precious book, and I just want to read the third one, but I have so much books to read on my TBR, which is the to be read list for this year, that I don't know if I can, but I really want to. I'll see. So yes, another 5 stars. I really love this one. You would think I've only read 5 stars this month, but no. One shadow to the picture. Yes, I don't have it physically because I've borrowed it from my boyfriend. It is volume 2 for the French version, but it is 0.7 I think for the English version. It is The Sword of Destiny. And I'm so disappointed for this book. I was let down completely. I loved the first one, even though I felt uncomfortable at some misogynistic remarks and way of writing. The second one, I kind of liked to learn more about the relation between Yennefer and Geralt. But the third story, I think, about a mime taking the appearance of another dwarf, I think, was, no, a hobbit, was not so much interesting. It was a bit boring, at least for me. And next, the good part is about when Geralt is meeting with Ciri. But the way of writing, I'm so frustrated. Why is he talking about breasts of women so much, so often? Why? In the description, at least, I mean, when he's encountering a woman, sometimes it is a mermaid and he's talking about his breasts, obviously. I think you can say Duriads, I don't know, it is in within the last stories when he's meeting Ciri when she's lost and he's describing her by her breast also. I'm disappointed. And the way Jaskier, Dandelion, I think in English, is behaving, I hate him. He's boring. He's so boring, and ugh, I don't know. I loved the way that the author wrote Geralt as a morally grey character, but all the other characters are not so much well written. Yennefer is insufferable, and all the other girls are just fantasy girls giggling and sexualized all the time. And Yennefer is a cold woman without a heart, and I think he just doesn't know how to write them. And I'm so disappointed because the world is very interesting, and some things of the plot are I want to know more, and I know that the first properly book without short stories is the next one, volume 3 for the French version and volume 1 for the English version. So I'll go till this one, but if I don't like it, for the first time in my life, I'm gonna DNF a series, which never happens. So it tells a bit about this series. I give it 3 stars, I think, which is still quite good. It is above the average. Maybe I should give it 2.5 stars. I'll see. Maybe it will be 2.5 stars, but I'm frustrated. I made myself a tea and I was so distracted and excited to talk about the books that I completely forgot about it and now is quite cold. Next, I'll continue about the disappointing reading, and I've read volume 14 of Sunken Rock, and it is a nope. It is a nope for this series. I went till the end. I continued till the end, and it didn't get better, and it wasn't possible, I think, at this point. Wouldn't recommend it at all. The drawings are beautiful. This is not well written at all. No, no. Currently reselling it to a local bookshop. So yeah, I managed to finish the Sunken Rock series, but it was painful, very painful. Next, I've read volume 5 of To Eternity, and this one is rather good also. We are introduced to new characters, we have some old ones coming back, some villains, and there is a cliffhanger at the end, and I'm not saying too much. And I think I didn't talk much about what is this manga about, but it is about an immortal being able to turn in living things he encounters, he meets on his journey. And he doesn't know at all how to behave, and he learns along the way with the people he meets. And the author is playing with your heart also. It's just yet too soon to recommend it. I think that sometimes within 5 volumes it is very difficult to make your minds on the work, but I really loved the first 4 volumes. This one is quite good also, and I think there is an anime and I think I'm gonna watch it, but I have too much anime to watch currently. So for now, it is very good. Next, I read volume 10 of Fear of the Dawn, and it is always a win for me. And there is a teeny tiny bit of romance in each volumes now between two characters. It is very slow burn romance, and I love it. I love it when it's like that. It is a cozy read for me. It is ugh, when I want to feel hugged, when I want to feel good, I read this. When I want to have some wax, how to say it, balm, balm, yes, balm over my heart, I read this. You know. Next, I've read volume 11, yes, 11 of Black Butler, and I loved it. I loved it a bit less than volume 10 because it is, a volume making a transition for the next case. It ended the explanation of the previous mysteries, and there is a bit of a transition to the next mystery, which will happen in both. I think I said it in my previous vlog. And I'm curious about it because Ciel, the main character, is on a boat, and oh, the next mystery looks darker, looks so grim. It is already a grim manga because the past of Ciel, the way he connected to Sebastian is very grim, and the next mystery looks very grim. The second mystery was grim also, but love it. Next, I've read volume 10 of Kingdom. Very teenish, 10, a lot of volume 10 and 11. On this reading wrap up, I will talk less because it will be very long. It is about a boy who made a promise to his best friend to become the greatest general in the sky, and something happens and he has to stick to his promise, and he gets to be a soldier in the army, and this is set in China. I don't know in which year. Okay, I didn't find the exact time, but this is set in the ancient China and is about the China history, how it's reunified. And there are some things happening in this volume. At the end, he manages to have a great mentor to become a great warrior, and I'm not saying too much about it. And the political issues also are getting very high. I love how this is turning. Every character is going into a different direction, and this is so good. This is so good, and the drawings also are very well done. I don't know if you will see it clearly, but I love those kind of drawings, and he knows how to draw people. Also, I will recommend it without a doubt, even though it is violent, very violent, because of course it's about war, and the author is not being easy on the drawings about the war wounds, the wounds you make at war. So if you're sensible about it, don't read it. But if you love to learn about history and being attached to very good characters, very well written characters, then it is for you. Next, I finally began 20th Century Boy in Who Boy by Naoki Urasawa, and I read Pluto by this author, which was recommended to me by a dear friend, and I loved it, and I couldn't wait to get into 20th Century Boy. And I understand why I know so many people love this author. Children growing up and looking back at how they wanted them to be as an adult, how they wanted them to grow up and be fearless, be brave, and how they would look as children, their adult version, and be like, am I happy with the version I turned out as an adult? This plus apocalyptic things coming potentially. Something is happening to an elderly people also at almost the end of this book, and it gets me when you are touching to elderly people all the time. This is so well written. I can't recommend it enough. It is very rare when at volume 1 or 2 I'm recommending something, and this one, for now I really loved it, and I know it is a mainstay in the manga genre, so I can recommend it without doubt, I think. And the drawings also are priceless, flawless. Love the characters. Yes. Next, I've read a graphic novel, and I haven't found English version. There is only the Japanese version and French version, I think, for now. So I won't talk about it too much. But an elderly man featuring an old cat. It was the perfect read to me. It was so cozy, so heartwarming. The drawings are beautiful, and the stories are so moving. Oof, this is autumn, and this is so cute. So please, people who can read French and love cozy books and love cats, this is for you. Obviously, I loved it. It was a 5 stars. 20th Century Boy, 5 stars also. Only 5 stars. And next, I've read volume 4 of Banana Fish this month. It is still a win, even though the drawings for me are sometimes a bit, I don't know, the way she's drawing black people is for me sometimes a bit confusing, at the least. I have mixed feeling about it. The way she's drawing their mouth, I don't know. But the story is very good. It is moving forward slowly, and at the end, there is also a cliffhanger about 2 people who's gonna fight, and the result of this fight will make the story goes to one way or the other, and I can't wait to read the next one. Okay, so this is it. I've read a lot this month. 5 no 5 no 6 novels. One I don't have physically, and a lot of mangas also. If I put them all in one pile. Ugh, okay, yes, not bad. Actually, not bad. Okay, well, I'm finished. It was maybe a bit long, but thank you guys for clicking as always. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being nice. I hope to see you on the next video, and I'm excited because I'm doing something very exciting next week, and I'll talk about it in the next video. So hope to see you. Bye.